Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today is Tell Del Tuesday, and with us is a wonderful family here out of Houston, Texas, that has a great story. In fact, it's a story I can't wait to unpack because it's so interesting to me, being that they actually became members before they got married. So there's a lot of interesting things we can work around that just to find out about. Currently, they've got 5 apartment complexes that they own and operate, and that equals up to about 534 units in total. And so let's welcome Heather and Shawn Connerly to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Del. Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you with us, and really want to unpack this story. As I said, it's very interesting because did I read this right that you guys were not married when you joined up? That was something where you got together after you were already members?
Yes, I joined back in 2008 and started acquiring single-family properties, and then we got married in 2015.
Wow, that really makes it interesting because we've got a dual path here. So let's take your path to start with then, Shawn, since you started first. Tell us about how you came to be a Lifestyles member and why.
I was working in the space station, or I was working in the space program here in Houston after I'd finished up my graduate work at A&M, and I had a 401k at the company I worked for, but just didn't have confidence investing in the stock market, didn't know if prices would go up or go down, and ultimately just didn't have control of my money, really didn't. And then I was listening to the radio show back in, I think, 2007 or so, and, the majority of the people that were on this radio station were stock picking gurus, and, they would tell you whether to buy or to sell. And then there was you, and I heard you on the radio, and, you really triggered a lot of thoughts in my mind, very interesting thoughts. And I said, I want to learn more about this. My parents had houses growing up. I knew homes that appreciated, but they never rented them out. And, you would have people on and they would tell their stories, and everything just seemed really, really fascinating for me to go learn more. And then, of course, I joined back in 2008. I went to your 2-day and got educated from your classes and your courses, and then all the mentors you had, and the staff and the team that you have provide you the resources to take somebody who had no real estate experience, had never bought a house before, had never bought a primary residence. But here you are teaching this guy, me, who has good credit but had never bought anything, teach me how to go out and acquire single-family rentals. And I did that before I even bought a primary residence, and ended up buying 16 of them. But did go buy a primary residence eventually and use the rental income that I had acquired from these rental properties to pay for my mortgage, and basically was mortgage free.
That's perfect. I don't know how many hundreds of times over the 33 years I've been teaching this that I've told people that's the way you should do it. Of course, very few people actually listen to that advice because they're so excited about wanting to get their own personal home. But that's actually the best way you could possibly do it towards building wealth. My question to you is, very early age, it looks like if I do some reverse math here, you were in your 30s. You're already, just out of grad school. You're working at a space company, space station type business. My question is, how the heck did you at that age already start thinking about retirement and money? Most kids at that age are still, especially you're not even married yet. You're still out there chasing around looking for the girl of your dreams. How did you start thinking about money at that early age?
It was just what my first goal was to just make above average rates of return on my investments. I mean, we all want that. We all want to make a good return on our investments. And I felt the best avenue to do that would be through real estate. And, once you reach that goal and you can increase your you get to the point where your next goal for me was to be able to retire, but I needed more real estate, need more real income. And so we both eventually were able to retire from corporate America, at different times. And, once we were able to do that, then our next goal was just to add value to more people's lives on a daily basis like you do every day, Del.
Well, Shawn, that is a massive compression of a story. You've got your elevator speech down perfectly. I mean, you went right from the beginning to the end, even to the give back, and you boom, just like that. Let's see if we can get some more depth out of Heather. Heather, how'd you meet this young, crazy guy who's thinking money? At 35 years of age, I mean, not too many people are thinking money.
Yeah, we met in 2014 and then got married in 2015. And before we even got married, Shawn had, he's this engineer, rocket scientist working on the space station, put together a PowerPoint presentation for me of his goals, how he saw our life, what we were working towards.
Just got to ask this question, Heather. You got a guy here, he is a rocket scientist. You always hear that thing, well, what do you expect? I'm not a rocket scientist. Well, he's got no excuses. He's a rocket scientist. He's already got eight rental houses or whatever it was he had back then, right out of the blocks when you met the guy. I'm sure he's got cute dimples and everything else, all that good looks and all. What did that seem to you like as a young lady that he was so together at such a young age?
Well, it was extremely attractive, and my friends loved hearing that I had met a rocket scientist. But, we had similar goals. We met later in life, so I think we had already had several years of stressful working and working for somebody else and tired of that and, ready to quickly start a family. And so we were really focused on the future and how to do that. And we had very similar interests. And it didn't take long for us to say, we wanted to start a company together, which I don't know that many people, really want to jump into that with their spouse. But it was of interest to us, and we recognized that we had both, very different skill sets that could come together, and hopefully do good. So, after years of working for somebody else and growing somebody else's brand, we wanted to do something for ourselves and start a family as well and leave that legacy. So it was attractive to me. I wasn't fearful of it at all.
So let's take the step further here. Let's talk about the 2-day. Now, I'm assuming, Shawn, you went to the 2-day before you met Heather because you were already a member. And right. Heather, I don't know if you'd already taken the 2-day without Shawn or if you took it together for the first time. You kind of clear me up on that. And what I'm trying to get to is, what were the big aha moments, both individually for you and then, boom, as you're there together, did you ever take it together? And was there, those big community ahas, like, wow, that's our family right there. That's our future. Share with what you guys learned at the 2-day and what the aha moments were.
Right. Yeah, I took it by myself back in 2008. And, yeah, it was, the first day was for single-family properties, and I think the aha moment was just being able to acquire properties. But one of the tools that y'all offered was the Quest tool, and I had this tool, as an engineer, you get this analytical mind that can just do analysis to paralysis. But this tool you could learn all these different features of the property, the potential rental income, what the comps were, what they're selling for, what they're leasing for. And that was Lifestyle's tool, and y'all had it, and it just brought all the work that I had been doing, just running the circles, trying to figure out information on properties and underwriting deals. But this underwriting tool that you have just put everything right there at the click of my fingers, and it was just eye-opening for me.
Now, Shawn, you took it far enough back that I was still teaching it, and maybe even Heather might have seen when I was doing it. But
right.
Do you remember me just pulling a deal off of MLS right in front of your eyes, showing a real deal and going through and proving that you can make lots of money with something right in front of your eyes that's sitting there on MLS?
Oh, Dale, I know you remember those days so clearly. I mean, it was just like, you're like, I mean, you basically were just being so honest and candid. You said, this is the chance of a lifetime. I've been waiting on this since the 80s to just get these deals that are, you're buying them. You would pull them up on the MLS. They were $50,000. And you would just say, guys, you can buy these houses these are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. You can buy them for $50,000. These are going to be worth $150 probably in 5 or 6 years. And Dale, I don't even know what they're worth now. They're just worth so much more. But man, you just nailed it, and you saw the path so clearly, and you had the path for us members to follow it.
With case studies and being able to stand up as aspiring leads and connecting with the mentors that really laid out this roadmap as we had begun to sell our single-family homes and looking ahead to the multifamily properties that we wanted to purchase and how to even discover, how to find one.
What was it attracted you to changing over to the multifamily properties?
So I was still working full time, and I had 16 properties from Texas City to Conroe to League City over to Matagorda and then some in Houston. And it just, with a full-time job, logistically, it was a challenge for me to manage all those assets from different parking lots. And, I'm the one doing all the leasing, most of the maintenance work, getting these units ready. And, I'd have to drive these properties to either put a sign in the yard or to go sign a lease or show the unit. And so after work, I was just bouncing around from place to place. And I just said, if there was a way we could sell all these doors, take the money, put all the doors in one parking lot, hire a staff to where they could be on site all day long, and they could lease the units, they could maintain the units for us. If we can do that, let's go do that. And so that's what we started doing was we just started selling all of our 16 single-family properties so we could use those funds to go and partner up with other like-minded lifestyles members and go buy an apartment complex.
I didn't realize it was 16. I see it here that it is 16. So 16 units that you purchased at that time, you must have had quite a bit of equity built up in those properties, huh?
Oh, when we sold, we did, yeah. I mean, we just got so lucky and blessed by God to get those properties back in 08 and 09 when they were just dirt cheap. I mean, 30 cents on the dollar for discount we were getting. And so I was trying to buy as many as I possibly could and as fast as I could. And so that's what I was doing. And, we had the 16 and had a really good equity capture when we sold the properties.
By 2016, I'm trying to think now, when you guys started multifamily, the single-family housing average went from median price back in 2008 when you started. The median price was, I believe it was $150,000 a door. We were picking them up for $50,000 to $75,000 a door, which is unbelievable. The median price by 2016 was $250,000 a door in Houston. So, that's over 100% gain easily, maybe 200 or 300 if you bought them right and they leveraged them and everything. So it's an incredible deal. So let's talk about moving over to the multifamily environment. And there's the music. Sounds like we've got to go. We'll take a short break. Be right back with Heather and Shawn Connolly and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
Lifestyles Unlimited members share their stories and strategies for success at case study events.
If you got laid off tomorrow, what would you do? Would you have to be working at McDonald's or wait to try and find another job with the downsizing the economy? Kept on coming to meetings, even with David Fisher online and stuff like that, but still we just we need to make the jump.
So we kept praying for time to get this job done, to be able to find the properties. How do we find the properties? How do you find the time? And God answered our prayers, and he got downsized from his corporate job.
But they didn't buy just one house, right?
No, they did not. You're rehabbing house number
9 right now.
9.
Wow.
So every month, the cash flow is $3,200. Okay, the equity of all the houses is up to $280,000.
Join us this month and learn from people just like you. Check in-person and online dates at lukstudy.com. Once again, that's lukstudy.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Heather and Shawn Connerly out of Houston, Texas. And tongue-in-cheek, guys, I just want to share with you that there's something about buying an apartment complex that gets your wife pregnant. I don't know what it is, but it seems to happen on a regular, reoccurring basis. And you guys started and ended up doing those simultaneous tasks. What was the plan on the first single or the first multifamily deal? Did you have a plan? Was it to go out there, do a yield play, value play? What was the plan for the first one?
The first plan was, it was a value play. I mean, interesting story how this happened was I was actually closing on one of my single-family properties, and I was at the title company signing the docs to close, and I had scheduled an appointment with one of the Lifestyles realtors to go look at and do a tour of a small multifamily property the following day. So I was going to take the call just to confirm the appointment, and I asked the lady at the title company, I said, I apologize, but can I take this call real quick? And so I took the call, confirmed the appointment the next day, and I hung up. And the lady at the title company, she said, "Are you buying apartments?" I said, "Well, I don't, but I'm interested in trying to acquire one. My wife and I are." And she said, "Oh, you probably won't be interested, but a friend of mine is actually thinking about selling his apartment. I could just give you his name and number. Maybe you give him a call." I said, "Sure, that'd be great." So I close on my house at the title company, go out in the parking lot, call the gentleman up. I set up a tour there the next day. And then the following day, I'm working on an LOI, and that's the first property we bought. So you never know when these things are going to fall in your lap, but when they do, you got to be educated and be ready to take advantage of the opportunity. So blessed by that one, and that was our first one, and that was back in 2016.
Very good point you make there, Shawn. You have to be educated. Opportunities. People go, I like luck. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation, and that's how you get lucky, right? So you were prepared. That's a good point. As you look at these deals and you went out there and saw, what was it about it that attracted you to it?
It was $42,000 a door, which you probably couldn't find those today. It was the right size. So, here we are. We had owned single family, but had never owned multifamily. But we wanted to consolidate the doors in one parking lot and hire staff to do the work for us. And we felt that 68 units was just right to where we could hire a full-time office person, and then we could hire a full-time maintenance person. And it allowed us to operate, to learn the business, the day-in, day-out business, but it allowed us to also work on our business and grow and keep growing and try to buy more and more properties and team up with more like-minded lifestyles investors and let them join with us.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that it's the ideal property. My first, what I considered large enough to have staff property was 64, and then I bought the one right across the street, which was 68, which leads me to the understanding that 64 at the time and now 68 for yours and this other one I did are absolutely the perfect place to put in your first set of employees. There's no doubt about it. And then when you double that and get 120, when you add on to that, then you've got a different kind of economic to scale, because one manager could run 120 units, but it takes two maintenance guys now. Whereas with 60, it takes one manager and one maintenance man. So it's really interesting that you ran into a 68 right up front, because that was my dream property, that size.
Yeah, and then the next one we bought was the one next door. And so we were able, there was a metal fence in between the two, and we actually just took that fence down and moved it on the other side of the property to where we had one enclosed, multiple complexes now, multiple communities, all within one gated community. And that worked out great for us as well. So now that same staff can now operate both properties.
Absolutely. Perfect example of economics at scale. Couldn't say it was done any better. That's beautiful.
I was able to retire once we purchased this first apartment community. Shawn was not able to yet. His came soon thereafter. But, yes, I was able to do that. So have our first child, but then also we closed 2.5 months after having her and hit the ground running with our staff and, trying to learn as quickly as we could. Now that you have HR and managing people but it was a great adventure. But I was able to retire then and fully focus on our business and help it grow, and then allow Shawn to retire as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that's a very, very common thing for people to see that, okay, now I got a baby and now I want to be at home with my baby, yet I still need to earn money, right? So I can go out here and have this business. I can do my business. Our daughter, who's 32, 33 years old, something like that, she just went through the same thing. And she was working as a bartender for 20 years, 10 years, whatever it was. I don't know. But, she stayed out till midnight, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because they worked till whenever it closed. And finally the mom said, hey, my wife said, nah, you got to get out of that. You can't get married, have your baby and all that.
Right.
So we brought her on as a manager just because she could then work from home and or whatever. Just the same thing you were doing, Much more freedom and flexibility and what's necessary to be able to raise your child. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. And to be able to do something that you're still passionate about. It's kind of that best of both worlds where you have freedom and flexibility with your family, but then you also still don't have to give up your dreams and you can still pursue your passions as well.
We're now going to discuss what was the difference to move up to a 216-unit apartment complex, guys. Was it significantly different in what you were used to managing, or was it just the same old thing with another zero behind it?
It's definitely more employees, more doors. So, but the operations are still the same. But things are. It's just more. I guess the quantity, but you also have you have a higher amount of quantity too. That the job doesn't really change. But now you're dealing with the human element. Now you get more people, and so there's a lot. As an owner-operator, there's a lot more work that's involved with HR, accounting, and just the day-to-day operations. But that allowed me to retire from corporate America to where I could focus full-time on apartments and in our investments. So it worked out just great for us. So,
Shawn, your first complaint was you were driving all over the place in South Texas for these 16 single-family houses. It looks like you put yourself back on the road because the next property you bought was in Clute, Texas. You had 2 in Baytown, 1 in Clute, then 1 in Houston, then 1 in Lake Jackson, Texas. You just couldn't get driving out of your system, or what?
Oh, but I could go when I want and where I want.
Okay. All right. There is an argument for that because driving when no one else on the freeway really cuts down the time it takes to go anywhere and do anything. There's no doubt about that. Let's take this to the next level here. You're now in your mid-40s. All your friends that you have to have grown up with and known, both of you on both sides of this equation here, have got to still be working their butt off. What do they say to you, and do they believe that you've really done this or not? And your family, what does everybody think about the fact that you're entrepreneurial? At this early age in your life, you already own giant business.
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, and we can always share similar stories, similar paths, similar mindsets. So we're able to team up with like-minded folks that are close friends of ours as well.
In our family, my dad has become a member and invested in our properties as well, and is very grateful for that, exposure to it and that education and knowledge. And we do have, friends who are entrepreneurs, and then we're just out with Shawn's best friend since 7th grade, and he, is worn out and working all day, and and not seeing a lot of payouts from the 401k, and is kind of like, wait, how'd you guys get to go to Mexico, and then you went to Utah, and then your kids did okay, and then, you went to the kids' school program, and then you, which is in those moments you get to pause and reflect on the decisions you've made, and capitalizing on opportunities, and learning about lifestyles and believing in it and seeing the successes of it and how it's financially successful, but also, the personal freedom and flexibility it provides you, which has brought so many blessings to our lives.
With this many deals behind you, this much net worth, assets built up, I'm sure that your net worth has jumped several times over from when you started. What about your cash flow? Have you replaced both of your incomes?
Yes, we replaced that years ago. Yes, and thankful for all the passive investors who are in our deals, and their trust. And if it wasn't for those 140 or so investors that we have that are all lifestyles investors, and they just don't want to do the work inside the operations on a daily basis. They'd rather just be a passive and just invest in the deals, but not have any day-to-day responsibilities. And there's, we've got 140 of those that trust us, and we're so thankful for that, and the returns that we give them.
Now, I know from doing this for 33 years and mentoring thousands of people that with the accumulation of assets you have, your story, just the single families alone, you've got to be well worth more than $1 million. So you've surpassed, the humanistic goal of, hey, I'm going to be $1 million. Okay, you've got that now. You're a business entrepreneur, successful. You've got that now. You're only in your 40s. How many children do you have now?
We have 3 now.
We've got 3 kids. That's a full family. I mean, that's Christmas is going to be incredible. You know that. I know that, like my daughter texted me or something, and I said, look, I said, when are you going to have a kid? She goes, well, I don't want to do it right now because her and her husband are both pro bodybuilders, and, they don't want to mess up their bodies right now. So I said, I get it, but remember this. When you're young, babies always get in the way. But when you get old, babies are all you have left, and you start living your life vicariously from them. So don't leave that part of your life behind, because you get my age, you're like, hey, where are all the kids at for Christmas, right?
Right.
So
right.
You've got that nailed down. You got at least 3. The oldest one's probably around 14 now, so that's really not old enough to start thinking about business yet, although you might have introduced to it a little bit. But my question to you is, hey, you're in the middle of your life, and you've already knocked it out of the park. How do you guys see life from right now? What do you guys focus on for those out there that are miserable? And you only have 30 seconds to answer the question.
Go ahead, sweetie.
Oh, I just think it's growing, whether it's growing here in the States or maybe growing internationally. It's a short life we get, and it's a very competitive world we live in, so take advantage of the opportunities. So looking forward to the next adventure, whether it's here in America or outside.
Well, great. Love you guys coming on again. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you at the expo. And for the rest of you out there, remember this. Whether it's Heather, Shawn, or myself, it's not the money. It's the lifestyle. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.